Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video that's going to be focused on the Canadian difficulty and some top picks for glowing hearts. Now, I know that some people like to get really into this very quickly, and I'm similar, but obviously I'll be doing a lot of this on stream, which you probably have seen on twitch.tv/RichTheMan live. However, I just wanted to let you all know the champions that I'm using against the different types of paths, or champions that I feel would be good to counter some of the things, because there are some really cool ones. Now, you might see at the moment on screen, I've got together a team that I just went through, which was Archangel. Archangel is there just to deal with Sasquatch, who is an absolute pain in the butt, and obviously it's questionable about that kind of massive hittable Sasquatch in the meantime being an ambush champion, but that's by the by. Either way, going against the bottom left here, and what I found to be quite effective is something against caustic temper. Now, Warlock is pretty good for this in any case because he has got power control. He is a bleed immune champion. He's a poison immune champion, and poison immune champion being the key thing here, because at the end of the day, we need it to be poison immune. Now, you might be saying, Rich, well, a fury buff is not on Warlock. But that's where the advantage comes in. Now, there's a 50% chance to get a poison buff. Now, if you know the synergy for Warlock very well, you'll know that the champion, when is hit by a debuff that they're immune to, does get a fury buff. And this is obviously what one needs to go and take this down. I'm not saying it's the only option, because there's many options. You could use for this the likes of Hyperion, because you could use Medusa. Medusa normally builds a lot of furies very quickly and very easily. Cat Marvel movie is a bit of an iffy one depending on ramp up prior to that particular fight, but as well there's so many others to really pick. Now, there's nothing really standing out, obviously, in the meantime. But obviously, if you've got Warlock and you've got other champions that have robotics or robots in general that benefit from the synergy, that can be another option there. Not to mention the fact that you could use Heimdall to trigger off that but trigger off that fury buff with having Angela in your group. And a few others as well, even like the OG Ultron could be an example. But there's so many others to pick. You know, one such example is Abomination, which I know some people do sleep on with the idea, but it's still poison immune and as well gains a fury buff. Better if you've got the Red Guardian synergy, because that's going to be helpful as well. Also, another option is Ghost. Completely slipped my mind there, but Ghost is a good option for this. Switching our attention to the right, now this is a very important one, and the champions I will be using will be stagger-based champions. And the reason being, I want to suppress the Unstoppable buff, and I want to suppress the Arc Overload. And Stagger does that best. There are many champions that do Stagger. Obviously, some of the best one, well, one of the best ones is going to be Dr. Doom. Obviously, buff immunity, when that's put up by Black Widow Clairvoyant, could be another option. I haven't tested that out, but obviously it's got buff immunity. So theoretically, if they're building buffs, then suppress the buffs. It does exactly what it says on the tin. But also Juggernaut is an option for doing that as well. As a champion staggers, Hood is another option as well, depending if you want to take this down via that means. But I think one of the highly effective measures will more than likely be Mephisto to suppress both things, and there's not really much effort. You don't have to you start the fight doing the soul imprisonment. So it's a case of not going to be able to build buffs. So yeah, that may be one of the best options in the shape and form of Mephisto. Now with this top section here, there's a lot of fun champions that could be well averse to kind of taking this down. Toxican, both attackers and defender strikes have 20% chance to apply a poison debuff, and as well the main thing is bleed, inflicts a bleed, dealing 100% of health over 60 seconds. Now, there's going to be plenty of champions available for this. There's some really good ones, some obscure ones, but as well, if you want to utilize the poison vulnerability, my boy King Groot is obviously going to be there. Not to mention Ultron Classic, which does poison, but as well is bleed and poison immune, which is helpful. You got Ghost. Ghost obviously converts, and that can be helpful elsewhere. We did talk about that Ultron Warlock synergy combination, but there are a few other options to consider as well. I'll put links in the description to where I've got all this information from dunes.sk. Obviously, you've got Black Widow Clairvoyant is able to switch between the immunities. quite easily. Obviously, first of all, switching to that bleed immunity to start with would be obviously the most helpful. Not to mention the fact of obviously damage that can be done back. So there can be poison damage that can be done back to the enemy, and again that can tick over quite nicely. Yes, Mysterio does have ability to reflect damage, so that could be helpful. Man-Thing is bleed immune and as well does poison, so that's another effective option. Not to mention that you've got the bag of tricks with Green Goblin, you've got Diablo, questionable too there, but King Groot is going to be quite helpful, and as well we talked about Ultron. And finally, the other routes is the one that give all or nothing and improved power gain. Now for this, I would say power control champions are going to be relatively effective. Obviously, you want a power lock, you want a power steal, you want a power burn. And there's lots available to do that. You've got Magique, you've got Psylocke, also you've got Hulkbuster's SP2, and obviously there's a lot of class advantage to be gained. Warlock as well. You know, there are a large plethora. Doc Ock, Starkey, Sparky, even like... Yeah, Starkey, sorry. So there's lots of different options there for power control options, and as well dealing with the elements of improved power gain. So increase all power this defender it receives from power gain effects. So obviously you want to be suppressing that as quickly as possible, and I would recommend those that do power control better would be the likes of Dr. Doom, Psylocke off the SP1, as well Hawkeye's like an underrated version. Constant SP1 spammings you can suppress very nicely, so there's loads on option to take down the enemies. And yeah, I'm sure that with the Sasquatch dealing with, if you are not very good with Sasquatch, I'm kind of all right against him, and I would say that it's through the cheese of Archangel that allows me to do that. That is obviously where I'm managing to get through it. So yes, good luck out there, and those are my top picks and a little guide of how to smash through this particular week. Go and check out some content that's on screen at the moment. I should be live streaming later on today, but I do have a lot on my plate. Second video today will be an Aegon Synergies video, so look out for that. And yeah, thanks very much for supporting. See you in the next one. Bye bye for now.